Hey there, it's Liz from No Trace. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a scrappy diagonal panel like this that we're going to use to make a really cute mini tote bag. Now this panel is inspired by Ukraine, obviously the colors of yellow and blue. You could use any colors that you want for this project, and it's an excellent way to use up some of your small scraps of fabric. So let's go. We're going to be putting together the stripy panel piece with scraps of fabric that I've cut down to 2 inches wide. And I've also cut them down or pieced them together to get a few different lengths for the stripy panel. So here are the lengths. You want 4 pieces that are 12 inches long and 2 inches wide. You want 2 pieces that are 10 inches long, 2 inches wide. And then you want 4 pieces that are 8 inches wide or long and 2 inches wide. Okay, so 12, 10, and 8. So I'm going to start by sewing together the longest pieces going blue, yellow, and I'm going to sew them with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So let's head over to the machine and do some sewing. All right, at the machine I've got my 12-inch strips and I'm going to sew them with the right sides together. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. If you are newer to sewing, I totally recommend doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance for this project. It's just a little bit easier. You have a little more fabric to work with. If you feel comfortable, you could definitely do a smaller seam allowance, a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you could even cut your pieces smaller. You could cut them to 1.5 inches wide. But let's go ahead and do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to go straight down, joining up these 2 pieces. Once these 2 are joined, we're just going to get another strip. So I'm going to put the next blue strip on top of the yellow strip and line up that edge and just again sew straight down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, I've got my last 12-inch strip. It's yellow and I'm putting it, the right sides together on top of the blue strip. It doesn't matter which blue strip, but I'm putting it on this blue strip, and again I'm attaching them with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Once these 4 are joined, we're going to get our 10-inch long strips, and we are going to sew these on to the ends to start building out from the center of the panel out towards the ends of the panel. And we want to center the strip so that it's coming, not lining up with this top edge, but we're going to be attaching it at the center line of our 12-inch panel. So the easiest way to find the center is to just fold it in half. And it doesn't have to be perfectly centered. So just, more or less the center, you fold it in half to create a small crease. And then you fold your strip in half and also create a small crease just with your finger. And then we're going to line up those creases with each other. And then they are centered. And we'll go ahead and put a pin right here so we don't lose our center. Now let's find the center of the yellow strip and line it up on the center, just like so. And again, we'll go ahead and pin it. And then we're going to take this over to the machine and just do the same thing, a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I've attached the 10-inch strips and you can just press them with your fingers. And now we're going to go ahead and attach the 8-inch strips. So we're going to put the yellow 8-inch strip on the blue 10-inch strip. And again, we want to find the center. So I'm folding my yellow strip in half and creating a little crease there. And then I'm lining it up. I still have my crease from when I attached the 10-inch to the 12-inch. So I'm lining up the creases and going to go ahead and pin them together. And I'm going to do the same with my blue strip, fold it in half to get that center crease and line it up with the yellow strip center crease, which is also still there. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it. And then again, I'm going to sew these onto the larger panel. All right, so we just want to get these last 2 8-inch strips attached on the ends here in the same way. So folding it in half, pressing it and lining it up with the center seam. All right, once all of the strips have been attached to each other, you're going to want to flip it over and then press the seams so that they lay nice and flat. So I've already pressed several of these and we just have a couple to go. So you just open up that seam with your finger and then get your iron in that seam and just iron it so that it lays flat. And then your panel will just be a little bit tidier and flatter on the other side as well. So all these seams are pressed, and then we can press the whole panel as well and just get it nice and flat. All right, once this panel is pressed, you are going to want to get a piece of paper and cut it down to 8 by 9 inches. So this is just an 8 by 9 inch rectangle of paper. And I'm going to use this paper to outline the panel. Remember, we're creating a panel with the stripes that are going to be going off at the diagonal, right? Not just up and down. So we're going to use this paper to find that panel on the pieces that we've sewn together. So you might have to sort of position it around a little bit, try out some different angles so that you get the rectangle pretty much covered completely by the fabric. Okay, so just take a moment. And if you find that your sewing is a little bit off, you can just add more strips to get those last little corners if you need to. So I'm going to turn it again because I think I had it covering everything. Okay, so I found the spot where I get an 8 by 9 rectangle on my fabric. And now you're going to want to take some chalk and you're just going to trace that out. So you're tracing out the piece of paper onto the fabric so that you know how to cut your panel. You could also do this with a pencil if you don't have tailor's chalk. And just go all the way around. Okay, so I've traced the paper onto my stripey, and I'm just going to cut right on the inside of that line that I drew. And then this piece will be ready to work with. And now our stripy panel piece is all done. I'm going to link to the next video that shows you how to put this panel piece into a really cute mini tote bag. So just click the link here to check it out. And if you made it this far, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to get notified about all of my videos. I put out a new video every single week on zero waste sewing, crafting, and lifestyle tips. So I'll see you again very soon.